Ace-9 suited from early position, I would tend to fold this most of the time, but seeing you open stuff like King-7 from late position makes me wonder why you're folding Ace-9 from early position, but I do like the fold. I think that Ace-9 suited is not a good hand to play from pretty much any position, besides the very late ones. Certainly you don't want to be playing in early position. Alright, as stacks start to get shorter, I would start decreasing my open size. I'd start making it about 600 here. Notice if you make it when you make it 800, you're almost inviting this R Pope key player to shove on you. And when you have 7-8, you don't want to get shoved on. So this is a spot where I would definitely make my raise size smaller. And of course, you have to call this guy. This is a spot where you may actually want to even fold because you expect this guy to go all in so often, and you don't want to get all in with 7-8, even with 150 dead chips in the pot. So I would consider folding there. Here's another spot where you get raised and 3-bet, where you raise and get 3-bets, and I am okay with calling this time because you are in position. It's 1100 more, so you're getting 2.7 to 1. You know, I'd probably take a flop with Jack 10 suited. You get a pretty bad flop, so now you have to check fold, unfortunately. So here you make it 3 big blinds. I wonder what you would do if this player shoves. I suppose you'd call, and I think that call would be definitely my default play. This is where you're going to really want to start making it 600, because whenever you're making it 700 or 800, you're going to get 3-bets so frequently, and you're going to lose chips every single time you're opening with garbage, and then you have to fold. And it seems like you are opening a very wide range. So I do think that eventually, particularly if you continue playing high-stakes tournaments, the guys are going to start 3-betting you very liberally, and that's going to cost you money unless you want to start 4-betting them back with all sorts of junk. So right here with 6s, I would probably set mine as well. And you miss the set, so you get out of the way. They checked you, you make it half pot, that's fine. Unfortunately, they fold. If you get check raised on that board, I think you pretty much have to go with your hand. You are certainly not looking to fold in that situation. Not a very good flop for you. Whenever your opponent checks back the flop, I would be very prone to bet the turn than bet the river. Usually when guys check back the flop, it's with something like middle pair or top pair bad kicker. And quite often you can get them off of the hand if you do fire 2 barrels. So even though the turn does put a backdoor flush draw up, I think what's going to happen is this guy's going to call the turn a lot, and then he's going to fold the river a lot. So I would go for 2 bets here. So what would have happened to this hand most likely? I don't know, maybe he would have called the river. But he probably would have called the turn bet, and then the river would have been a pretty nasty spot for him if you fired 2 times. And notice if the river blanks off and you bet the river, he's going to fold basically every time, which would, of course, be a good result for you. And if you peeled a king or an ace or a 10, you win the hand, which is also not so bad. So a lot of good stuff happens there if you bet. 10-7 suited under the gun's a bit loose, but I'm okay with it. Alright, here's another spot where you're calling out of position with a marginally bad hand. I don't have a problem with this, but again, you have to be very careful after the flop. Hands like this are going to end up getting you in a ton of trouble. Yeah, I guess check calling here is fine. You're getting okay odds, and check raising starts to get kind of dirty. On the river, guess I'd check. You like to bet, and the reason I like checking here is because you beat some of the 10s. Well, you beat king 10 exactly. Your opponent's probably not going to fold out a pair. If your opponent has something like a 9 or an 8 here, he's not going to fold. So I think the only hands you're really going to get him off of with any high frequency is something like ace-king, and then maybe something like pocket 2s, 3s, and 5s. Besides that, I don't think this guy's folding. But I could be wrong. Alright, blind versus blind, you like to min-raise. So I talked about starting to min-raise, but I really don't like this min-raise because now you're in the small blind, and out of position you generally want to make it a little bit bigger. And especially since this guy has shown that he can fold to your 2.5 times raises, you might as well go ahead and make it 2.5 times and hope to pick it up. If you knew you were going to flop the nuts, you should probably min-raise, though. Right here, I would probably continuation bet 800. I want to do everything in my power to induce this guy to stay in this hand, so I like an 800 bet. Then I would bet again on the turn, kind of right here. So what you're trying to do, I can tell what you're trying to do. You're trying to set it up so you can shove the river, but I think you need to bet smaller on the turn. I was going to say something like 2,000 would be pretty good, because notice if you bet 2,000, your opponent calls, he's going to have 9,000 in his stack. and there's going to be, I guess it'd be 7,500. So yeah, maybe your bet is a little bit, I mean, maybe like 2,400 is ideal. If you bet 2,400, there'll be an extra 5,000 in the pot, so there'll be 9,000 in the pot ish, and you'll have 8,500. So yeah, I guess 2,500 is probably ideal. So I feel like this may be a touch big. This feels like a big bet to me. If I'm sitting in your opponent's shoes and you throw out a pretty big bet like this, I'm pretty scared. And you never want to make your opponent scared when you have a very good hand, of course. Alright, I don't really like this call with the King 9 suited. I would be much happier to see you fold in this situation. Even on the button, hands like King 9 are not going to do very well. You're going to end up spewing chips doing stuff like this. So you go a while now without getting anything to play. And that does happen from time to time. You get Ace-Jack offsuit and make it 2.5 big blinds under the gun. Again, I'm not too sure why you're varying your bet sizing so drastically. I think when you open here, no one's folding better hands ever. I mean, I can understand making it bigger if you wanted your opponents to fold better hands. Like, say you had, I don't know, Jack 10. You could get your opponents off a lot of King 10 type stuff by making King 10, Queen 10, King Jack, and whatnot by making it kind of big. But if they have Ace Queen, they're not folding. If they have pocket 10s, they're not folding. So I don't really see the purpose of this big raise. The aces, I would definitely min raise again. No reason to make it bigger. I wonder if you're going to ever adjust your raise size in this tournament. I mean, I think that most players usually adjust it smaller as they go deeper and deeper, but it seems like you have no desire to do that. So that's interesting to me. That's something I would, if you were my student, I would instantly tell you to drop that raise size. And right here, for the first time, it finally bites you. You end up losing an extra 400 chips for no good reason. And that's worth something. I mean, let's get out the calculator real quick, and I'll show you what it's worth. So we started with 10,000. So let's say we're playing a $200 buy-in tournament divided by 10,000 chips. I'm assuming this is Sunday Million. So that means each chip is worth 2 cents. So if we take, or 0.2 cents, if we take this times 400, is that right? Yeah, it means you just lost $1 here. And $1 may not sound like a lot, but whenever you're playing a $200 tournament, it's 1/200th. It's 0.5% of your starting stack. And is that right? 400, 4,000. No, it's sorry, I don't know what I was just thinking there. 4% of your starting stacks. That's significant to give away. And so yeah, the way you get that is if it's 4% of our starting stack, we do 200 times 0.04 equals, so it's about $8, not $2, about, not 80 cents or whatever I came up with. $8, yeah, $8 is very significant, and you kind of just mucked it by doing this. And as you raise with the intention of folding more and more often, which you do want to do late in the tournament, you're going to find that it's very beneficial to save those chips. All right, right here you like to fold the 10-9 suited, and I have no problem with this. I mean, this guy's probably opening a pretty wide range, but it doesn't matter. You're not very deep stacked. You could consider shoving. I think that is certainly reasonable. The guy in the big blind is kind of deep, but notice he hasn't entered the pot or anything. So if you knew this guy's raising a lot of hands, you could certainly shove, but since we don't know that, folding is fine.